This is lesson 32, part 2, and we'll be finding the musical alphabet on the keyboard. So this is our full-length keyboard, which means it consists of 88 keys, and down here on the left are our lowest notes. And then right in the middle of the keyboard, this is our middle C that we just learned about last lesson. This is the middle range of the keyboard. And then up here on the right side is our highest range of the keyboard. And again, just orienting ourselves on the keyboard, it's helpful to note that other than this lone orphaned black key here, we always have a pattern of 2 black keys, followed by a space where 2 white keys are touching, followed by another group of 3 black keys, followed by another space where there's no black key and the 2 white keys are touching, and then again, a group of 2 black keys, space, a group of 3 black keys, space, a group of 2 black keys, space, a group of 3 black keys, space, and that continues all the way down the keyboard. We learned that on the keyboard, C is most often used as the orienting pitch. And this is because if we can find any group of 2 black keys, the white key directly to the left of those will be our C. So here's our first C. And then we can find our next group of 2 black keys. Here's our next C to the left of that, the white key to the left of that black key group. And then we find the next pair of our black keys. The white key directly to the left of that is our next C. This C would be 1 octave higher than this C because there are 8 letter names, 8 pitches, or 8 keys between those C's. Our next C would be right here because we have our 2 black keys and the white key directly to the left is our next C. 2 black keys, our white key directly to the left of that, our next C. 2 black keys, our white key directly to the left of that, C. 2 black keys, white key to the left of that, C. And then you'll note here, we don't have another group of 2 black keys, but you can see the pattern. We have 2, then we have 3, and then we have this space where there isn't one, just like we have here. And you'll note that here, this was our C. It's the same situation here. So this is our final C. Recall that the musical alphabet consists of just 7 letter names, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And after that, we just repeat them, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, etc. If we're ascending in pitch, we go forwards through the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If we're descending in pitch, we go backwards through the alphabet, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. The notes of our basic musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, are located on the white keys of the piano. So let's find 2 black keys. And the white key directly to the left of that, this will be our C. And then we're just going to go up 1 step at a time. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And this C is 1 octave above this C. Then we can go down. We can descend through that scale of notes. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Remember, we call it an octave because we cover the span of 8 letter names or 8 pitches or 8 keys, and we count the starting and ending keys or pitches or letter names as part of that count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could do the same thing down here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And we could keep going. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. etc. So obviously there are multiple C's, multiple D's, multiple E's, multiple F's, etc. on the keyboard. How do we know which one to choose when we're looking at a piece of sheet music? When a composer places a note head on the staff with a clef sign, each specific line, space, and ledger line note represents a specific pitch.
Remember that we learned about the treble or G clef, which is used for the right hand of the piano, for female voices, and for higher instruments like the violin, flute, or trumpet. The reason composers use the treble clef for those instruments and those voices is because it's pretty easy to read higher pitches in the treble clef. So let's first of all draw a treble or G clef. We start on line 2, bump up to line 3, down to line 1, up and around, down, and then a hook. Remember, it's called the treble or G clef because this curly Q action reminds us that line 2 is an important spot. This is our G, and from there we can decode all the other letter names. So, last lesson we looked at C's across the treble clef. This time, let's write some D's. So I'm going to first of all descend. So we have our G. I'm going to go backwards through the musical alphabet by steps. So my next space would be F. My next line would be E, D. And I'm right there. It's just underneath the staff. There's my D. And now I'm going to climb up from that G. A, B, C, D. So my D is right here. This would be one octave higher than the D I just drew. And then I'm going to climb again. E, F, G. This is just above the staff. Now, my first ledger line note would be A. B would sit on top of that ledger line. C would require 2 ledger lines, and it would be a line note. And now my D is actually sitting on top of that second ledger line. So on the keyboard, this first D would sound like this. This second D would sound like this. And this third D would sound like this.
So just to give you an idea of where I'm heading to in the keyboard, this is the upper end, this is the lowest end. I'm right in the middle, starting just above middle C. Here's my C. Here's my D, and this would be my first D there. So this is my first D. And then the one that's right there in the middle of the staff would be here. And then the one up there on 2 ledger lines would be right up here. So you can see I'm getting a lot closer to the end of the keyboard now.
So the treble clef is a pretty convenient way to read higher notes, but it wouldn't be so great for reading notes much lower than that because we would just end up with so many ledger lines and it would be very inconvenient and hard to read, especially to read quickly. When you get past about 4 or 5 ledger lines, you spend time counting the ledger lines because it's hard to see them at a glance. So it becomes really difficult to sight read. So we have different clefs to choose from. And there are more than just the treble and bass clef, but these are the most commonly used ones, which is why we've only learned about these. So the bass clef is used for the left hand of the piano, for male voices, and for lower instruments like the cello. It's called the bass or F clef, and we start drawing it by beginning on line 4. We bump up to line 5 and draw what looks like half a heart and stopping just under line 2. Then we draw a dot in space 4 and one in space 3. It's called the bass or F clef because these 3 dots highlight line 4. If we were to draw a note head there, it would be an F, and from there we can decode all the other letter names on and above and below the staff. So with the bass clef, let's begin by going up. So we're going to find a higher D, F, G, A, B. Our first ledger line note would be C, and then we're there. We're on a D. And then we're going to climb down from our F, E, D. So right exactly in the middle of the staff because we're on line 3. would be our D. And then we'll climb down again. C, B, A, G, F. E would be our first ledger line below the staff, and then we're going to hang our D from one ledger line below the staff. So this first D we have here in the bass clef would sound like this. Our next D would sound like this. And our lowest D that I've written here will sound like this.
So again, just to orient you a little bit, with the bass clef notes, I began from the higher D over here, and it turns out that is the exact same D, the exact same key, the exact same pitch that I started on here in the treble clef. The lowest pitch in the treble clef looks like a pretty high note in the bass clef. So it's located right in the middle of the keyboard, just above middle C. Here's our middle C, here's our D. So my first D up above the bass clef sounds like this. And my next D right in the middle of the staff on the bass clef sounds like this. That would require a lot of ledger lines in treble clef, which is why we typically don't see that note written in treble clef. And then our final D there is below the bass staff, and it's all the way down here. And we're getting really close then to the end of the keyboard.
So looking at the treble clef again, I've written out one example of stepwise motion and one example of skipwise motion. So note that here we're starting on middle C, and we are just ascending from one line note to the next space note, to the next line note, to the next space note, to the next line note. So we are not skipping over any letter names. Let's look at what this would look like on the keyboard. So this is obviously just a partial keyboard, but this is what it would look like and sound like. And then our very next white key, very next white key, very next white key, and then our final white key. So C, D, E, F, G. So this would be an example of stepwise motion. Looking at our next grouping of notes, we see that we again begin on middle C, then we skip over D and have an E, skip over F, then we have a G, skip over A and B, and then we have a C. Let's look at what this would look like and sound like on the keyboard. So we would again begin on middle C, then we would skip over D just as we do on the staff, and we'd have an E next. We'd skip over F just as we do on the staff. So we skip over one white key, and then we have a G. We skip over two notes, two white keys, just like we skip over two notes on the staff, and then we have a C. So this would be an example of skipwise motion.